Okay, fraud has been revealed. We have about 90 seconds of trailer to go through, and we have a lot to unpack. I've actually written down just the stuff I noticed on a first watch through because, oh my god, there is so much and the fraud looks so cool. So let's just start by talking about this opening. Not this opening. Just give it a, come on, you blood, yep. This opening. Immediately, there's so much to say here. This room is unlike any other room in the game. We have never seen a room that looks this weirdly homely and lived in. It's got wallpaper on the wall, it's got light, it's got doors. The ceiling is unusually high. Okay? And written on the wall in the back there, when he was out, you can see, scrawled in blood, it says, "We came in." This is probably going to be expanded upon and more obvious in the game, but as of right now, I have no idea what this could mean. Maybe there's some kind of like message Akita has said somewhere, or like secret the devs have put somewhere that I haven't seen. I don't know what this means. I have no idea. But this is very big. This TV. Now, just ignoring the obvious for a second, it's making static noises and it's flickering a little bit. This could mean one of two things. It could mean like the deep, like I'm reading too much into it thing, where it's like, ooh, it's flickering, it's like it's broken, it's malfunctioning. It could also just be making that noise because it's an old CRT, and they just make that noise. But who am I to judge? So, let's talk about Akita actually showing off the non-Euclidean nature of hell. For those of you who don't know, hell is non-Euclidean, which means that geometry doesn't really make any sense. So V1 or hell can just do stuff like this, where it's just like, yep, there you go, you walk through this TV screen and you're in a completely new room. This has been mentioned in writing by Akita. It has been subtly referenced by jumping into the Kosuke Minos' mouth and then ending up in Gluttony, which isn't the inside of Minos, but that is poorly explained. You wouldn't understand that if you didn't go and see the context given by Akita. This is very obviously telling you this is not connected. This is not normal geometry as we think of it. Things are going to get weird. The actual geometry of the world itself is a fraud. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So anyway, we jump into this TV and we are greeted with a totally different room, but no less interesting. Yet again, never have we seen anything like this before. A pretty nice corridor full of identical doors, identical curtains, identical lights, and it's long. It's really long. And the title of the level actually opens here. I can only presume this is very close to the start of the level, but this could be halfway through. Genuinely, we don't know. My brother came into the room. So I was mentioning, this is the start of the level. Don't know how far into the level it is. It's presumably very close to the start, but that's an assumption. And immediately, Akita starts playing with the non-Euclidean nature of hell. Brings the checkpoint right into your face. It's like, okay, we're not messing around. The walls are moving in real time. And you hit the checkpoint and it teleports back. So the walls can be dragged and moved at any speed. They can teleport around. There are no rules to how these walls can move, which opens up a whole host of possibilities. I mean, look at that. Every wall, the ceiling, the walls, everything opens up. There's 2 levels. There's doors everywhere. There's chandeliers. It's all just going crazy. And then we enter this room. There's nothing. What is the point of that room? Huh? Let's just go back frame by frame slowly. Come on. Oh, come on. What is the point of this room? There's 3 paintings on the wall. Deadass, those just look like cows. That looks like the skull of like a bull or something. That looks like King Minos, Corpse King Minos. And that looks like a cow. And there's just a vase, 2 doors, drawer, and some stairs? This room's weird, but we immediately teleport away with a weird static jump cut. Is this a gameplay element? Or is this thrown in as a clever way to hide cuts? I'm not sure. Because it could very easily just be thrown in to hide a cut, and it would fit in with the CRT motif that was presented earlier. But he's looking around as if he's confused, and then when the jump cut happens again, he seems like he's frustrated, he's confused. So I can't tell if this is going to be an in-game mechanic where the game will suddenly flicker to static and then teleport you somewhere else. I don't know if it's in-game or if it's in the trailer. We'll have to wait and see. This is the first instance of the new enemy. It is a statue of something that is clearly angelic. You can see like it's got like some wings, kind of looks like a flower. And then this in the middle, which you can't see yet, but it'll come clearer later, is the cover art of the OST. The big white eye. You can see it much more clearly here, and it's much more front and center. Clearly, this is a focal point of the level. This new thing, enemy. It's an enemy. And then we cut back to this corridor. Again, I don't know if this is in-game or if this is not in-game, because this is like the start of the level again. This is where the start of the level. I don't know. I don't know. And then we cut to this room. This is an infinite corridor. This looks like an infinite corridor. I assume if you try running down there or the other side, it will just loop forever and ever and ever. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how this fits into the game. But we can see here, there are these lion statues from Limbo in here. I don't know if that means anything or not. Maybe they're just there because they had it lying around. I don't know. I don't know if that is significant in any way at all. And then we cut back to this. Listen closely at the sliding noise. That is not what sliding sounds like in this game. This is not... That's not what sliding sounds like. That's a new noise. Why does it sound like that? Have they just changed up the noise for sliding? Is it because of the terrain that we're on being a terrain that we've not had in the game before? Is it just they messed up? I have no idea. Again, this is one of the things that we're going to have to wait and see for more information of why this weird noise is here. And then, again, I don't know if this is in-game. I genuinely have no idea. But all these flashes just go to static and then come back. But this one flickers black and then goes static. I don't know. Again, I feel like that's put in there for dramatic effect for the trailer. But I honestly, because of just the fact that they've changed everything to be, you're teleporting, the walls are moving, you're going through TVs, I can't trust that this isn't in the game. Again, if anyone has any information from Hakita or one of the devs saying like, no, this is part of the trailer, let me know in the comments, that'd be great. And then we cut back to the opening corridor where V1 is now falling through the corridor, so clearly it's been rotated, we're getting some Inception kind of stuff. And we're falling towards this door. But it's not actually shown whether you go through the door or not, so I'm thinking potentially you fall through the door and it cuts to this. This is interesting. This is incredibly interesting. We clearly have at least a depiction of Earth or something similar to Earth. We've got houses, we've got streets, we've got parks, we've got rivers, we've got paths. This is definitely, it's Earth-like at the very least. And don't forget, right, we're not in heaven, we're in hell. We're still in hell. And it's this big circle around, again, with the non-Euclidean geometry, and it all is focusing to this bright white mass in the middle. I have no idea if that's just there to show you that this is going on, like, for forever and ever and ever, or if that's actually, like, going to mean something, and it's going to be, like, Corpse of King Minos, or the pyramid in Greed, where you actually move closer to it throughout the layer. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But also, we can see that this is part of the level. All of this is part of the level, probably. And it's all skyscrapers. It's all very different to the rest of the level. Why are we playing on grey skyscrapers, office buildings, and then the rest of this world is exclusively small, short houses built out of like tile and, they look like something you could live in. So why are we playing on this weird skyscraper? It's very out of place. It's very jarring. Especially this weird 90-degree skyscraper. It's kind of funny, honestly. And then, of course, title screen. Yeah, of course they were going to do this. And then here we are with our first look at the new enemy. I don't know what this is called. I have no idea. But you can clearly see very biblically accurate angel with the wings and the big eye in the middle. It's got some rainbows around it and a massive glow. And I think it's very interesting that this is the only enemy in the game to not have a actually modeled and textured body. It's just got the PNG of the OST. Why? Why have they done this? It's obviously a very purposeful, distinct, stylistic decision. But why? What makes them stylize it like this? Because the other angels in the game of Gabriel and the Virtues, and also the counselors, the Council of Heaven that we see in the cutscenes, don't look like this. So why does this guy look like this? Why is this guy a PNG? Will this ever even be answered? I don't know if it will be answered. But then we see our first attack. Wow, that cut quickly. This is interesting. This is using the pink lasers presented in the Earth Mover fight. The ones that you can't dash through. You cannot invincibility frame through these lasers. It does not let you. And this is coming out of a new enemy orb in all 4 directions. So you can imagine, right, you have like 3 or 4 of these in an arena, throwing these around in a small arena. It's, now that I think about it, it's Virtue 2.0. Like, but the Virtue and this new angel are both stage hazards more than enemies, really. You have Virtues obviously creating an area of denial, and then these guys making a small beam that you cannot dash through. They're both stage hazard enemies, so I'm wondering if we get more angels in the game, will they also be kind of less direct, more indirect attack, like the Virtue in this guy? Very interested to see. And then right here, very briefly, you can kind of... Wow, that just went back. You can kind of see it starts out back here, and then it gets closer, and then it gets closer, and it gets closer. I can't tell if that's just the enemy moving, or if it's doing some kind of charge at V1, like it's going to have some kind of attack that it does when you get close to sort of defend itself. Because once you get close to a Virtue, it's a sitting duck. So I wonder if this thing is going to have a sort of counter to you getting close to it, where it's going to like try like ramming into you or something. It could also just be the enemy is moving. Like, that's very possible. So now we're back outside, and you can see this guy yet again. I'm going to be honest. In a big open space like this, unless if this thing has like more lasers on brutal, or if it like gets enraged in some way, I don't think this enemy is going to be that big of a deal, especially on its own. I mean, look at how little space it's controlling compared to how big the arena is, right? Like, it's really not causing much of a problem. So I do currently question how strong this enemy is going to be, especially for what looks like a big, prominent enemy in the second to last layer of the game. But this is also standard gameplay. Hakita records all of his gameplay on standard. He balances the game around standard. So we'll have to see what this enemy is like on Fraud. Perhaps it'll have 8 lasers instead of 4. And if it has 8 lasers, this thing I could immediately see being an absolute bitch to deal with. So there's a drone. This room. This was the room we saw earlier. It was the room that opened up when we first came in out of the corridor. You can see here it has a soldier, a dead soldier, some schisms, and a gutter tank. And it also has a dead sentry back here. But you can also see clearly it's caked in blood there, and it's caked in blood and gibs. There has been a lot of fighting in this room. That right there is massive. Absolutely massive. Not only does the level actually move around you as you're playing, but you can go through this door and it will take you to another door in the same room. So this leads me to the question, how are these doors going to work? Are they going to be deterministic, where you go through one door and it will lead out another door and it will be the same every time? Or are they going to be random every time? You go through one door, completely random where you end up. Or will it be a pool of doors. So you go through one door and you can come out of any one of a certain selection of doors instead of just every door in the level, because that'd be a bit insane. I do wonder, I'm currently thinking the most likely option is the first one. However, I do see the third option also being a very likely candidate because it would better fit with the non-Euclidean kind of terrain. But having these doors in a level allows you to just mix up the enemies so much. I mean, suddenly, you know, you go from being all the way up here, right? You're on the second floor. The gutter tank's shooting at you. He's shooting up, he's looking up, to suddenly, that is not... Suddenly, now you're down here, you're behind the enemy. You've covered so much distance so quickly. Very big for mixing. Oh, hello. That looks like a virtue gib. I could be mistaken. It might just be the chandeliers that were there earlier, because I believe they have, if not the same, very similar gibs. That could just be the chandelier from earlier. Insurrectionist, of course. You can't have a wide open space like this without an insurrectionist. But if you listen very closely, you can actually hear a sentry in the background. So just listen. You can hear a sentry in the background. So that arena there is going to have an insurrectionist and a sentry. Not the toughest arena, but, you know, could be a little bit annoying. And now we're once again back in this room. This was the room earlier with the gutter tank. And it has something that I've only just noticed. This hook point. A white hook point. Why is it white? That brand new hook point, why is it white? What does it do? What could it do? We've already got the normal hook point, we've got the dash hook point, we've got the time hook point. What does this white one do? Does it perhaps cancel the non-Euclidean nature? So perhaps the doors are random, but then you hook point, or you hook this point, and the doors suddenly become deterministic, so they will always go to the same place. So who knows? I have no idea what this could do. But we once again see Sentry Gib, Mind Flare, and some schisms in this room. So this is obviously going to be a very, very big, beefy combat room with a lot of enemy waves to it seems. And now we're here, swinging through some buildings. That's pretty cool. But then the whole building rotates. The whole level rotates. I mean, this is just massive, right? Like the floor becomes the walls becomes the floors. This is huge, because, you know, this carries forth into every level after this. You got to think about that. So the amount of possibilities for level design that could come out of this is crazy. And then we got the two soldiers. And then we come back into this room again. The third time we've seen this room in combat, and the fourth time we've seen it total, and you can see there's no hook point. There's no hook point. But there is an alive sentry and an alive soldier. So perhaps this is where the sentry and the soldier come from, and they're not part of the later waves. That's also definitely backed up by the fact that the room is currently clean, so this looks like it's going to be the first encounter with the room. Since it's clean, it's got no blood anywhere. But I assume that this encounter comes after the initial reveal of this enemy, considering that there's now two of them in the same room. It'd be a bit weird if it came before the reveal. But this room comes before the reveal of the enemy, so it's the enemy gets revealed in a room after this one. Very weird, very strange. Once again, showing off the non-Euclidean doors. Very cool mechanic. Very cool mechanic. And now we cut to a new outdoor area, where you can see a Maurice, two Maurices. Ooh, that is interesting. It's not, okay, we've got two Maurices, a gutter man in the window, and a virtue. I don't know where the virtue is. There's a slight blue glow here, and there's also a blue glow here, so it could be in either one of these positions. I don't know. These beams here are interesting, because those look like schism balls. They're moving like schism balls. But schisms on standard have connected beams, so that's Actually, that's kind of stumped me. Why? What's going on there? Hang on one sec. Yeah, those are just moving straight. Those are moving in a straight line. Maybe this is just recorded in a lower difficulty. Either this is coming from a new enemy, or something's gone wrong, or this is recorded in a lower difficulty than standard. Also, blurry blue homing orb. Since there's only one, that means there's a mannequin somewhere. Also, it definitely seems like the virtue is in here somewhere from the looks of things. But yeah, so there's a mannequin, 2 Maurices, Gutter Man, a virtue, and what looks to be a schism in this room. Very jam-packed room for something that really doesn't look that big. And then we cut once more. Back to the starting room again. We come back to the starting room. And the starting room becomes the ending room, which is in a bathroom. Why is it in a bathroom? That seems very weird to me. It's a very random place to end it. In a bathroom. I don't know. But I do like how the level comes full circle. You start with this TV and you end with this TV. I do wonder if this is going to become a much more fleshed out or like reoccurring mechanic in the rest of the layer. Or if it's going to be like a one-time thing. Soon, TM. But we're not done yet. We come back to this corridor. And we just open to this enemy. And it blinks. That's weird. Ah, no, that just feels weird to me. Because it's like... It's so fluidly animated. Whereas a lot of the enemies in this game don't really animate themselves too much. It's very fluidly animated. And then the blink as well. On the square kind of PNG, it looks odd. It looks very unlike anything else in this game. It's very striking. You're not going to lose this enemy at all. And then we have the big final stinger. I don't know what that means. I do not have a clue. This is obviously it charging up. It's obviously charging up its attack. Right. But that's obviously what this symbol means. It starts spinning, which is cool. I don't know if the noise is added in, because Hakita very often ends his trailers with a bit, with a joke, right? Some stupid Gmod skit. So I can't tell if there's noise. I can't tell if that's edited in. Or if that's just the noise that it makes when it's charging up its attack. I don't think it would be. That feels very, very out of place for what feels like a very serious enemy. I think that's probably a joke. But then, of course, we've got the real big stinger that it's coming this year. Fraud is coming in the big 25, which is huge news because, well, by December of this year, Violence will be 2 years old. Which is crazy to say, but Violence is 18 months old right now. We have been waiting a long time for a new layer. And from the first 90 seconds of real footage that we got, this is looking really good. I'm very excited, if you couldn't tell by the length of this video, over a 90-second long trailer. So, get subscribed, because we are going to be talking about everything related to Fraud as it comes out.